Thank you guys so much. I love you. And, Mamba out.
Welcome back, you guys. And there is a big debate on whether number 8 Kobe or number 24 Kobe, which one is better. But what about the specific year? Which season is the best version of Kobe? Remember, I will be factoring in regular season stats, some advanced stats, playoff performance, and just overall performance. When you get to the end of the video, let me know if you agree or disagree with the Kobe year I chose as his best. As always, definitely get in the comment box and let me know your reasoning of why a specific Kobe year is his best. I will be doing more of these type of videos in the future, so if you have not subscribed yet, definitely subscribe to keep up with the videos I will be dropping throughout the year. So let's go into the first Kobe season I want to talk about.
Nice rotation of Bryant. Buckle up for Kobe. Kobe Bryant just sucked the gravity out of the target center.
Starting off with the 2002-2003 season, I'm just going to say off rip that this is in my top 3 Kobe seasons. It wasn't a championship year, but Kobe's play from game 1 to the final playoff game against the Spurs gives this a safe spot in the top 3 to me. The Lakers that year finished as the 5th seed. As a team, they had a rough start, and at one point their record was 10-18. Shaq had a toe injury and waited until the preseason started to get surgery on it. But Kobe had a great year. At the time, it was his best season in points per game, assists per game, and rebounds per game. And the one thing that stands out about this year is it was his best year ever at three-point shooting. So check this out. In February of 2003, Kobe was averaging 41 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals on 47% shooting, scoring 40 points on 47% shooting over a few games in a season might be a career year for some other players, but Kobe was able to do this over an entire month. Kobe had 2 50-point games and 8 40-point games in that month. This was also one of his peak years of high-level perimeter defense. Kobe was selected to the All-NBA's first defensive team and first All-NBA team. Not to mention, this was also the year that Kobe set the NBA record for most three-pointers made in a game with 12 against the Sonics. The Lakers got beat by the Spurs in 6 games in the semifinals. Tim Duncan played out of his mind in that playoff run. In that series against San Antonio, Kobe was averaging 32 points on 44% shooting at the three-point line, and he was pretty good in the series before against Minnesota. He was averaging 32 points and 6 assists. Putting up 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists in the regular season is probably good for the MVP in any other year, but KG and Duncan had huge years, and the Lakers falling to the 5th seed ruined any chances at Kobe getting an MVP that year.
Can you believe it? That was as good as it gets. What a great pass.
On to the 2000-2001 season, the Lakers were coming off their first championship, and Kobe established himself as a bona fide superstar on both sides of the floor this year. Kobe went from averaging 22 points the year before to 28 points the next year. Kobe led the team in assists. He was selected to his 3rd All-Star game, was picked to the All-NBA second team and All-Defensive second team. After the best regular season of his career at the time, Kobe would have 2 great playoff series against Sacramento and San Antonio that bumps this year up the list. In Game 4 of the semifinals versus the Kings, Kobe played all 48 minutes, scored 48 points, and grabbed 16 rebounds in a 119-113 win to sweep the Kings. Nobody on the perimeter could stay in front of Kobe, and he averaged 35 points in that series. In the conference finals, the Lakers took on the number 1 seed San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs had home court advantage and the NBA's top-ranked defense. You would think the Lakers would struggle a bit against Tim Duncan and the Spurs to start the series, but they had no answer for Kobe. In Game 1, Kobe scored 45 points and grabbed 10 rebounds. Just like against the Kings, the Spurs had nobody to stay in front of him, and the Lakers swept the Spurs. In the finals against the Sixers, Shaq would win Finals MVP, but Kobe did his part. In 5 games, he was averaging about 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. His three-point percentage that year was at 25%, the lowest in his career, but he did his part and then some in getting the Lakers another championship.
Look at the hustle of Lamar Odom. Off to Kobe Bryant. And
Kobe with
The 2005-2006 season, the year Kobe averaged 35 points per game, his best scoring year of his career. With Phil Jackson back coaching the team, Kobe would go on a scoring domination tour at every NBA arena. This was the year Kobe scored 62 points in the first 3 quarters of a game against the Mavericks. Kobe had 2 months of the season that year where he was averaging over 40 points on 47% shooting. In January 2006, Kobe was averaging 43 points, dishing out 4 assists, shooting 47% from the field, and 39% at the three-point line. A few months later in April, Kobe once again averaged over 40 points in a month. He was averaging 42 points, 50% shooting, and shot 41% at the three-point line. Really good efficiency, and Kobe helped the Lakers close out the year with a 6-2 record. Not to mention, that was his highest year in total win shares. The first round playoff series against Phoenix ended on a bad note after going up 3-1 and blowing the lead, but he had a few great moments like the game winner in Game 4, and he went on to score 50 points in Game 6. Also, you have to remember that this was the year Kobe repaired some of his on and off court image. There's always been a lot of Kobe hate, but people really didn't like Kobe going into this year. So yeah, Kobe and the Lakers lost in the first round, but that was a big year for Kobe on and off the court.
well work, White.
To follow up the season, he averaged 35 points. Kobe once again had a huge scoring year on a borderline playoff team in the 2006-2007 season. Let's get to the most interesting part of that year, and that was the final month of the season. In the month of March 2007, Kobe had a stretch of 4 straight games where he scored 65 points. 2 days later, he scored 50 points. 4 days later, he dropped 60. Then the next game on a back-to-back, he scored 50. Just imagine how wild social media would be if a player on a team as big as the Lakers had a stretch of games where they were averaging 56 points, 6 rebounds, 54% shooting, and shot 51% at the three-point line. To refresh your memory of what was going on at the time for the Lakers, they were on a 7-game losing streak before the 65-point game and were out of the West playoff picture. Kobe willed that Lakers team to the playoffs in the final month on really good efficiency. So over the final month of the season, Kobe would have 2 games over 60 points, 5 50-point games, and 2 40-point games. The Lakers won 42 games and squeezed in as the 6th seed and lost in 5 games to the Suns. Definitely a disappointing end to the year, but I have to bring up that year just because of that stretch of games, and that year was his best season ever in true shooting percentage.
Do you believe this guy?
The 2007-2008 year, the year Kobe would finally get a piece in Pau Gasol to seriously contend with the rest of the NBA. After 2 straight years of not making it past the first round, Kobe would lead the team to the finals. If you remember, Kobe played most of the season with a pinky injury on his right hand. Kobe won his first Most Valuable Player award and helped the Lakers win 57 games. That year was his 2nd best year in true shooting percentage and his 3rd best year in win shares. But what was great about this year was that he had big playoff games that pushed the Lakers to the finals. In Game 2 in the first round versus the Nuggets, he scored 49 points and dished out 10 assists. To refresh your memory from that 49-point game, J.R. Smith was talking a lot of trash to Kobe during the game, and when Kobe was asked about it by the media after the game, Kobe said, "Better learn not to talk to me. You shake the tree, a leopard's gonna fall out." In the next round against Utah, he was averaging 33, 7, and 7. Then in the conference finals, the Lakers were able to beat the Spurs in 5 games. The Spurs that year were the NBA's 3rd best defense, and Kobe averaged 29 points on 53% shooting. That's something a lot of people forget about that 2008 year. Yeah, he lost in the finals, but the Lakers almost swept Tim Duncan's Spurs when they were all in their prime. In the finals, they ran into a really good Celtics team that blew them out in Game 6 for the championship, but Kobe would get his the next year. The 2008-2009 season, the year Kobe would finally shut down the talk of not being able to win anything without Shaq. The big plays from this year was he won his first Finals MVP, and he scored 61 points against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. This wasn't the Kobe of the early 2000s, but an older Kobe at a different maturity level, looking to lead his team to a championship. He led the Lakers to 65 wins, the top seed in the West. And just like the year before in the Western playoffs, he had some big playoff games this year. After averaging 34, 6, and 6 on 48% shooting against the 54-win Nuggets, Kobe scored 40 points in Game 1 against the Orlando Magic and closed them out in 5 games. His legacy was already basically secure as an all-time great before this 4th ring, but he really solidified himself when he won his Finals MVP. He averaged 32, 7, and 5 in the 5 games against Orlando, and Kobe's playoff per game averages were 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists on 45% shooting, and for the 2nd year in a row, Kobe scored 600 playoff points. On to the 2009-2010 year. His legacy was secure with that 4th ring, but this is Kobe we're talking about, and anything less than a championship is not going to keep him happy. It was a solid regular season of averaging 27, 5, and 5 on 46% shooting, but I want to go to the playoffs that year. He was pretty good. Now, Kobe had a lot of injuries in his career, but this was the season he went into the playoffs with a broken index finger. He had to adjust his shot follow-through by putting more pressure on the ball with his thumb and middle finger. Against the Suns in the Western Conference Finals, Kobe was averaging 34 points, dishing out 8 assists, shooting 52% from the field and 43% at the three-point line. He completely disrespected the Suns with the shots he was hitting in the final 5 minutes of Game 6, and he was scoring like this with an injury on his shooting hand. Even though he got to the finals 3 years in a row, those playoff runs with Pau Gasol are very underrated. Check this stat out. From 2008 to 2010, Kobe did something no one else has done. Kobe is the only player in NBA history to score over 600 points in 3 straight playoff runs. He won his 5th ring, and for NBA history purposes, beating the Lakers' biggest rival in the biggest series of the year was important for his legacy. Okay, so I do not think this is his best year, but I thought I would bring it up because I know some other people will bring it up in the comments, and even Kobe said something about this. I think he said it was his peak. I don't agree, but it definitely was a notable season. That was the year the Lakers got Dwight Howard and Steve Nash, and they were championship contenders, but the injuries ruined that season. Even though Kobe was 34 years old, he had a lot of huge moments that year. That year he had 9 40-point games. He scored over 30 points 35 times. In the second half of that year, the Lakers needed every win possible because they were fighting for a playoff spot, and Kobe had huge games down the stretch before he tore his Achilles. He scored 47 points against the Blazers, he led a 25-point comeback against the Hornets, and hit multiple clutch threes in a comeback win against the Raptors. Definitely had some huge moments that year at the age of 34, averaging 27, 6, and 6. Okay, so which season do I think is Kobe's best? This was pretty tough and the hardest to pick out of all the players I have done so far, but I have to go with 2006 Kobe. I understand there wasn't much playoff success, but the individual dominance throughout the regular season was just insane. If you give 2006 Kobe a decent roster and his starting point guard is not Smush Parker, he is leading the Lakers to a deep playoff run. I can guarantee that. What do you think? As I said before, Kobe's playoff runs from 2008 to 2010 are very underrated for a player who is as well known as Kobe is. And I wouldn't be mad if you picked the year he won his 4th or 5th ring, and he was doing this playing with injuries where he had to adjust his shot follow through. Which Kobe would you take? This was definitely a lot harder than the Wade and LeBron year. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate it. Which player should I do for this next? I'm thinking maybe Shaq or Tim Duncan. I hope the video was interesting to listen to, and I'll see you guys in my next one.